Another set of back-to-backs for the Philadelphia 76ers as they head to Milwaukee to take on the Giannis-less Bucks. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers pregame show presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. We're coming to you live from the Xfinity Lounge. Kyle, I'm Devon. Bree, she's the president of basketball operations. All of you in the chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Thursday night. Short schedule tonight around the association. Only 4 games, plus, of course, the Thursday night football game as well. So we got a lot to talk about because the eyes are going to be on this one. Tyrese Maxey.
Some eyes.
And it's certainly ours and yours. So let's get ready to talk about it. We'll get to the pregame picks a little bit later from Bet365. We'll talk about the Eastern Conference, kind of crowded, where the Sixers and the Bucks are both residing right now. And Paul George back in the lineup tonight for a second game of the season. But Kyle, we got to start off where we kind of left off last night, which is correcting the mistakes. Turnovers, 21 last night, third quarter once again getting in the way of what the 76ers maybe could have done in picking up a victory over the Toronto Raptors last night. That Raptors is a pretty good team, as they've shown through the first part of the season. But tonight, again, second night of a back-to-back, you lose that one the way that you did on Wednesday night. It's really important, especially without the guys, we mentioned Giannis, but without Giannis in the lineup, this is one where you look at them win this basketball game.
Yeah, and I think some of the problems we saw last night, Devon, shouldn't translate to this game. Toronto is a fairly unique team in their across-the-board size. I used to make fun of Masai Ujiri when he was still in charge there in Toronto for his specialization in guys who were 6'8" and could maybe kind of shoot. But in that matchup last night, all those guys that they accumulated over the years, they're able to punish the small lineups for the Sixers. So while we can get to the offensive issues for Philadelphia, on defense, they really got punished for playing 3-guard lineups. I think particularly when Maxey was off the floor and they tried to play McCain, Edgecombe, and Grimes. There were a lot of moments where it's just Scotty Barnes hitting Jared McCain with the too small. I mean, this was not in the half court, but blowing him a kiss as he went up for a dunk toward the end of that game was pretty wild, right?
There's a compilation of him doing that to opponents.
Yeah,
so that.
Is that his... Would you say that's his go-to move?
I guess.
Would we throw that
I hadn't even
into the
noticed
mix?
it.
Shout out to Pump.
I haven't even noticed it, but yeah.
So that stuff I don't think will be as prevalent tonight. You're not asking Ryan Rollins and AJ Green and Gary Trent, and Gary Harris is available tonight as a deep bench guy. They're not taking these smaller guards down to the woodshed and saying, I'm putting you through the stanchion. What they do need to do is take care of the basketball. The good news is they're playing a Bucks team that by and large hasn't forced turnovers. They're not a under Doc Rivers. This isn't a shock, but they're a risk-averse team for the most part. So I'm interested to see exactly how they look against the Sixers without Giannis, because for me, what has been driving Milwaukee's success is that they're just shooting the hell out of the ball, Devon. They're shooting 41% from 3. And you go down the list in their rotation. It's Rollins at 46%, Miles Turner at 43%, AJ Green at 47%, Prince who's also out, by the way, Prince at 43%, Portis at 43%, Gary Harris at 40%. They have a lot of guys in the regular rotation who are shooting the heck out of the ball. But a lot of that depends on Giannis Antetokounmpo. So there are a lot of issues for the Sixers in terms of how they played last night. Back-to-back, no Joel. We're going to get to all of it. It is still a game where you look at it and say, this is a team they should beat, especially with no Giannis. Doesn't really matter what else is going on.
Absolutely, because to your point of how the Raptors play defense versus what you see from the Milwaukee Bucks, no matter the opponent, a lot of times it's up to you how you dictate whether you're going to turn the ball over, protect the basketball or not. Missing shots, of course, it's your shot. However, you're not going to make them all. Even with the Bucks shooting as high percentages as they are as a team and the individuals doing what they're doing. But this, after what happened last night, I'd imagine that the message was very clear from Nick Nurse. I'm sure he was saying so in game because they turned it over 8 times in the first quarter. and then turning it over 8 more times in the third quarter, also leading to the 21 for the 31 points for the Toronto Raptors. That tonight you have to make sure that you're already dealing with having played extended minutes last night because the game was close. So with that, you're going to play in a team that has not played for a few days and are fresh, even without Giannis. And you don't want to give them the belief that they can go out there and beat you. Now, again, crowded East, which we'll talk about, they're all in the same area right now. So, of course, the Bucks believe that they can beat the 76ers. Doc Rivers is notorious
I was going to say, those famous shorthanded wins for Doc
right.
Rivers. We've seen them.
Yeah, he's notorious for that. So he's going to have these guys ready to go. They've been game planning for this basketball game for a few days without having to worry about another opponent. So they're going to be ready, and they're going to have a game plan. And you know the game plan is going to start with pressuring Tyrese Maxey and trying to get the ball out of his hands and see if anybody else can beat you, including the rookie Embiid Edgecombe. So how do they respond to that? Number one, it starts with protecting the basketball and getting yourself some pretty good shots. Run your offense, get some good looks on the basket. If they fall, great. If not, you don't put your head down. You keep going and try to plug away and find a way to get those points on the board. Be aggressive. Attack the basket. Yes, they have a shot blocker back there and Miles Turner, but you still have to go at him. Maybe you get him in foul trouble and you give yourself an opportunity to get into the bonus pretty quickly, and then you can get to the free throw line. But it's really important for them to protect the basketball after what we saw last night. And I agree with you. The opponent is different. But we've seen this before when it comes to the Sixers, that when we sit here and say, well, it shouldn't be the case, and then it becomes the case, and that's a big part of what we're talking about in the post.
100%. When I say they shouldn't lose this game, it's not disrespecting Milwaukee and their ability to try to win this game. But it is, if you just look at how the Bucks are constructed and how important Giannis is to what they do, you're talking about essentially a 21-point swing on versus off with Giannis for Milwaukee. And it's most prevalent. I know that people think of him, he's this great two-way player, and he still is. But he drives their offense big time. They go from a pretty good offense with Giannis on the floor to a essentially 5th percentile offense, which is really bad. They score about 104 points per 100 possessions with Giannis off the floor. Their defense is closer to average without Giannis. Yeah. Miles Turner's a good rim protector. Yep. They have a little bit of size in Bobby Portis, who can play off of a Miles Turner, I guess, because Turner's at least a more mobile big. They can interchange a little bit. I guess in theory, Kyle Kuzma is somebody that can match up with people size-wise, although my thoughts on him are well established, I think, at this point. So, yeah. You brought up the ball pressure, Devon, and hey, they're probably going to send to a Tyrese Maxey. That was part of how Toronto was able to win that game last night. Mm-hmm. They were able to stop him from even getting the ball on some possessions. When he would bring the ball up and they try to run ball screens for him against the Raptors did a good job of showing high, hedging, trapping, and getting the ball out of his hands. And that's when you saw a lot of the turnovers. It was ball going to VJ Edgecombe, ball going to Quentin Grimes, Trendon Watford, whoever it might be. And those guys made bad passing decisions. They flubbed some pretty basic interchange stuff, right? I talked about this on the post-game show with you guys, Devon. And there were some where it's a cut, and you're trying to put it in a guy's bread basket as he's coming down the lane, and it's a little too high or it's a little too low, and you flub that. There's a couple of lack of vision plays, Trendon Watford in a triple team. Quentin Grimes trying to throw a pass to VJ Edgecombe as he's moving in the other direction, throws it behind him. So a lot of it was basic execution errors. Frankly, if we had seen that tonight in tonight's game, we would go and say, oh, that's a fatigue problem. That's a team on the second half of back-to-back. So it's disappointing to see a lot of those basic errors last night. The hope is, with that fresh in your mind, you can bet post-game in the locker room, pre-game today, they are being told by these coaches, you cannot turn the effing ball over 21 times again. Hopefully you clean it up. And I want to see, I think one of the ways that they fix that, I think VJ had 4 of his own last night, if I remember correctly. He's got to slow down. He's got to use his pace effectively. There were times last night where you want him to play fast. You want him to get downhill, get to the rim, use that explosiveness as an athlete. But it sort of felt like he just didn't have the timing down, that he's not at the point yet where he can pick his spots effectively. That obviously is going to take a long time for him to get to the point where he can do that, and it's just a night to night. We expect it, but if he plays not slow, but a little more methodical, I think that'll go a long way to helping out this offense with the turnover problem.
Man, he needs the NBA Cup break where they spread out those games, because he clearly, it's so up and down right now since that first 5 of what things look like for him. And to your point of slowing down, the thing that also got me, Kyle, is how lazy a lot of their passes are. It seems like their passes are so lazy that the defense doesn't really have to try. It's just let me jump in the passing lane and I'm going the other way, because of how lazy some of the passes are. They have to clean up on that stuff to make sure that they protect the basketball tonight, because it can get away from you pretty quickly and it can get ugly. AJ Green out there, some of the other shooters that they have on this basketball team, that if that happens, and as we've discussed, not just the turnovers, but also what the third quarter presents as another opponent for the Sixers. So it's the opponent, then it's the third quarter opponent that is they're constantly playing against, to try not to allow that to be an issue once again. All right, when we come back, we need to talk about who's in, who's out. Paul George is in. Some big names out for the 76ers. We'll talk about that when we get back, as we hang out with you on the Sixers pregame show. Sixers Bucks, 8-7 for the Bucks, 8-6 right now for the Philadelphia 76ers. They're jumbled up. We'll talk about the crowded East a little bit as well. Then our Bet365 pregame picks, all right here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show, presented by, I'm telling you on the other side. That's our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Everybody, 90 million users worldwide. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. Live streams of 780,000 events each year, and early payouts in the NHL and the NBA. And your home team, Philadelphia, they're active tonight. Action in both leagues, in the NBA and the NHL tonight. So maybe you want to place a wager and you haven't signed up yet. Well, get into it. Plus, you have a Thursday night football game. Let me tell you about the bet first for Thursday night football, which is a $10 safety net bet. I haven't yet decided what I was going to bet on Buffalo and Houston, but whatever I do, $10 safety net bet where I don't have to worry about if I lose it. I get it right back as a safety net right there at Bet365. All right, if you are a new customer, you want to sign up because you've heard us talking about it, got a little busy, sidetracked, couldn't get to it. Well, breaking news from Bet365, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. All you have to do is sign up, use code PHLY365. When you do, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Guys, the other day, we were over at Rich's house. We were getting ready to watch a big game. We're all excited. And then the lag starts. Then the buffering kicks in. This guy's setup is an absolute disgrace. I can't believe that he hasn't made the call to Xfinity so he can call himself a real basketball fan. It's the ultimate sports destination. You can find the best games, your favorite teams, all in one place. The way that we all watch, except for Rich, is next level. It's the perfect fan flex. You get all the action right in your living room. Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K. It's so clear. It feels like you're at the arena. Sometimes you can go to the box, the 4 games at once. Who doesn't love to do that? I have a rant related to that for another product later, by the way, that we'll get to another time. On top of that, you get real-time notifications and live stats on the TV. Best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan, Rich, isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Legal restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers pregame show, where I'm sure at home you already have the good Xfinity, so no issues, no lagging,
buffering.
No buffering in your home. You're all good as you watch the pregame show, getting ready for the squad to tip off at 8 o'clock on this Thursday night. Also want to tell everybody while we're in here, number one, hit that like button for us. Let us know how good we're doing. We see that YouTube is back to the
even Rich, you have to hit the like button too.
You hit the like button, and we see everybody in
Hopefully
there.
your internet's working enough to do that.
With some new Twitter handles again in the chat. So we appreciate everybody being here, though. Hit that like button. We're getting ready for a big holiday. Hopefully everybody's going well. We got some big things for you coming up next week, so get ready for some announcements for next week. We also have our Reading Terminal show next Wednesday at 2:30, live from Reading Terminal, PHLY Live.
We made the graphic. Look at
Terminal
that.
Market. We made the graphic. It's been adjusted. It's presented by Xfinity. We'll see you beginning at 9 a.m. Anthony gets started. We're at 2:30. Flyers pregame at 4. We got you covered all day next Wednesday. Hope to see you there as you do some last-minute shopping for Thanksgiving and hanging out with the family and the friends. Put some other things on the table as you watch a lot of football. And, of course, tell your other friends to tell the other friends in the family as well to make sure that they like and subscribe to the PHLY Sixers podcast and our network in general.
Can I real quick bring up the multi-box thing I
Please,
was talking about? So Prime has taken over League Pass this year. They're the primary, I guess, partner for that. And by and large, if you're trying to watch one game, very good. Like the streaming quality, lack of interruption, all that has been great. The unfortunate thing is that their version of multi-view, no matter what device you're on, is one big version that takes up like 2/3 of the screen. And then the other ones are just mini videos on the side. And it's like, who gives people 4 choices for their multi-view and doesn't just give you the quadrants of, I get this one, this one, this one, this one. So Prime, please fix the product. That's all I'm asking for.
Prime, what are you doing? What are you doing? Not Dion. We're talking about Prime. What are you doing? They got too busy with worrying about the setup in the new studio and all that stuff.
Fancy high tech
exactly.
analysis, which I've enjoyed the product there. I think they've done a very good job with the broadcast so far, but fix the League Pass thing for me, please.
Fix the League Pass. Fix it. All right, let's get to how you're watching the game tonight. You won't be watching Giannis, and you will not be watching Joel Embiid. Both out. Kelly Oubre also out with the hyperextended knee, so he's not playing. But so the marquee matchup there in terms of those two are going. But Tyrese Maxey, who was listed as probable, a little bit questionable, a little bit earlier, right? Probable. With a little banged up there.
Quad contusion, I believe.
A little banged up. He's been playing a lot of minutes, so you don't want things to happen to him. But he is available. Paul George also in, and we can get to the starters here right now as Bree throws it up on the screen. They're back in black, and what they have tonight, Justin Edwards back in the starting lineup at the 3 next to Paul George and Andre Drummond, along with Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe. So it's good to have Paul George back, despite you not having Joel Embiid, and especially when they don't have Giannis on the other side.
Now, we'll have to wait and see exactly what Paul George is capable of giving them minutes-wise. I would hope after you get a game under your belt, you get the night off last night, have a couple days of rest, essentially, that he's able to give them, 25, maybe approaching 30 minutes.
Yep.
I do think the fact that Edwards is starting next to him is perhaps a preview of when Kelly Oubre comes back, which we're hoping will be only that 2 weeks and a little bit of change after that they gave us for the initial timetable. But as we have established, timetables around these parts don't necessarily matter, but it does look like they could maybe go to an Oubre George starting lineup. I think that's what we've been predicting as we've watched Kelly play really well. And frankly, this is, unless you're going to play like Eric Gordon or go really small and play Jared McCain, this is one of your better shooting lineups you can put on the floor. They don't have a stretch big, unless you consider Jabari Walker your version of a stretch big right now. And I do not, despite his made 3 last night. So you get Justin and Paul on the wing. Maxey, we know what he can do. And even VJ. Like, VJ is the worst shooter probably on paper of that perimeter group of 4. And he's shooting like 35, 36% from 3 and has had some real hot nights from deep. So I like the group. I want to see what it looks like with Paul and another wing out there, starters, rather than a Barlow situation. And then we saw Quentin Grimes and Paul George at the 4 the other night. So they're toying around with how this looks with Paul George in the starting lineup, which is important because they don't know who they are and what they have with Paul George with this group. And so Nick is going to have to toggle through some stuff and see what works, what doesn't, and what the combinations are throughout the rotation.
And Justin Edwards did have some moments defensively where he was able to, one, of course, that we know that when he plucked Brandon Ingram went the other way and they got a bucket from it. There was another one where he did disrupt it, plucked him again, jarred the ball loose. It was a loose ball. He had the reset thing. The action wasn't as clean. The Sixers had a good defensive stop. They got the rebound, go the other way. So he had some moments. And to your point, now you get to see him next to Paul George, like we've seen him before with Kelly Oubre out there on the floor. I am very curious to see. And when it comes to Paul George having those 5-minute stints through the 4 quarters, he got up to about 21 minutes in that first game on Monday against the Clippers. Let's see if it can be extended a little bit further, as you mentioned, maybe around that 25-minute mark. They're going to be off on Friday and Saturday. They have an early home game on Sunday. So maybe that's
Kids Day at the arena on Sunday, I was told, at the last game.
Okay. So maybe that's, that's good. And that's almost along the same lines of that's around their practice time, that 1 o'clock game. So it's not uncommon for them, and hopefully he can up his minutes a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is not the Clippers. This is, in fact, the Milwaukee Bucks. And he should be able to have some success against some of these defenders. As you mentioned, there are a lot of smaller guards. Kuzma has some size and some length out there on the wing. Yes, he does. But they're going to hunt their switches, and they're going to try to get him on some smaller guys, maybe some back-to-back basket action as well, and see if he can get loose that way. Maybe get to the free throw line as well, knock down a few free throws. So curious to see if we can get a few extra minutes out of Paul George tonight. And number one, to get a front-to-back win where we see a complete game from this basketball team.
Devon,
all season they haven't done it. Even in the 10-point win over the Raptors.
I just would like to see a game, or even the game against Detroit where they won the third quarter in the NBA Cup matchup. It should have been a comfortable win, and instead Detroit seized all the momentum at the end of that third quarter. They end up going on to win the game pretty easily and effectively ruin the Sixers' chances of going to Vegas. So thank you once again for that. Sixers, I know Hedfa, wherever she's watching right now, is devastated by their underperformance in the NBA Cup. So the other thing with Paul George, a play that we spotlighted the other night, and I'm hoping that we see more of this tonight and moving forward, was his ability to put the ball on the floor. And I know we're not really expecting him to get to the rim at this point on any kind of regular basis. The 35 of it all, age 35 of it all, is slowing him down. All the health issues have slowed him down. But he still has the height and the vision that he can make some of those skip passes. And so VJ Edgecombe got one of his cleanest looks at a 3 all season on a Paul George drive, drawing help to the middle, finding him on the weak side corner or the weak side wing. I'm not remembering exactly right now. But so if you can get VJ those looks, if you can even have Paul out there with McCain, who he has struggled to get off-ball looks right now. Most of his shots have come him trying to self-create. He hit the bump mid-range last night, the pull-up 3 for his other make. So I think that's probably what I'm looking to see more of from Paul tonight. And to hit some open shots would obviously help. We spent all last year like, boy, he's sure going to hit a 3 eventually, and then never really did. Settled in around average for the year, but it sure didn't feel like it.
I think he's 2 for 9. In that game on Monday, 7 rebounds, few assists as well. Let's see if he can do a little bit better there tonight. All right, it's a crowded East too, Kyle, now. We talk about Miami coming into town on Sunday, 1 o'clock against the Sixers. Sixers right now are 8th. They're 8th, tied with the Chicago Bulls. Both teams got off to a 5-0 start. And they're both
8-6.
8-6 at the moment, where they're 4-6 in their last 10, equally there. But this is outside of Detroit, who has won 11 games in a row. 11 games in a row for the Detroit Pistons. The Raptors are second with the 10-5 record after defeating the Sixers last night. The Knicks are 9-5. Cleveland 10-6. Then you go down 9-6, 9-6, 8-6, 8-7. 8-7 goes all the way down to the Milwaukee Bucks, who are 11th in the Eastern Conference standings right now. So as we talked about at the beginning of the season, how important it was for them to just collect those W's as best as possible. Still good because of what we had to go through last year.
Yeah.
But man, this is even more crowded than we thought to start the start of the season.
And I want to remind our fans, our listeners here in the chat, especially because we just saw Toronto last night. This early in the season, I think you have to kind of take it in chunks of 5 games.
Sure.
Because what happens in Toronto's case, for example, for the first 5-10 games, people were like, they're inconsistent. They don't look all that good. They're now up to 10-5.
My sleeper team.
They've been playing very well, and they have now generated a bunch of buzz. They're sitting second in the Eastern Conference standings right now. A week and a half ago, we're talking about, man, the Sixers are right there in the mix at the top of the East. And
right.
So it's going to take some time for things to settle. As you watch VJ Edgecombe, for example, 5 games at a time. He had a 5-game stretch where he couldn't throw the ball in the ocean. It looked like he had worn down entirely from the minutes. He's not making threes. And then all of a sudden, he starts perking up. He had the big 3-point shooting game when they were on the road. He has a very good second half, and frankly, like second half plus about 3 or 4 minutes in the second quarter performance last night. Other than the big time stars, you just have to kind of take it in these little digestible chunks until we say, all right, we're at like Christmas. We're 30 games in. We're 35 games in. We have a good idea of who this team is. I still don't think we have a grasp on who the Sixers or who most teams in this league are right now. I think we all believe in the Pistons. I think most of us probably believe in the Knicks and the Cavs to different extents. They have a little bit more of a proven track record. But the Sixers are thrown in with a huge group of teams that someone or maybe multiple someones will emerge from the pack over the next couple of months. And for the Sixers to do that, it starts with games like tonight where you take advantage of the team without their by far driving force of their team.
100%.
Go and get the win on the road, even if it is in a back-to-back.
Real fast, to your point of the in 5. We only have 2 examples of the in the 5 in the increments of 5 because they're at game number 14 tonight. Pardon me, at number 15 tonight. Sixers were 4-1 in the first 5, as we know. Next 5, they were 2-3 in that group. And since then, with just the 4 games, tonight will be 15. They're 2-2. And so this would be good to get this one. That bounce you right back to 9-6 in the middle of that crowded East, where you're right back probably at 7 or 6 based on how things go over the weekend, as the Sixers have the weekend off and back at it on Sunday.
And Sunday is a big opportunity against Miami.
Absolutely.
Too. Miami's been they're a very solid middle of the pack playoff team right now. It's a classic Eric Spoelstra team. And whenever the Heat are like, God, what are they going to do this year? They just keep chugging along. That's what they do down there.
We'll talk about the Miami Heat a little bit more in the post game as we, again, have Friday and Saturday off. Just want to remind everybody, Friday and Saturday off here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. We'll be back for pregame 12:30 p.m. Sunday as the Sixers host the Miami Heat at 1 o'clock in South Philadelphia. Let's get to the PHLY Sixers podcast pregame picks here, presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. Just me tonight. Bree said, you know what? I've won 2 in a row. Let me take a break, bask in the glory, and I'll just handle things here tonight. So, Bree, my pick, same game parlay, 145 plus 145. Maxey back at it with 25 points. He fell short a little bit last night in the loss. Andre Drummond, 12.5 rebounds over. He's had a double-double for 5 consecutive games. Miles Turner is not a great rebounder. He's an okay rebounder. Bobby Portis will get in there as well. But Andre Drummond seems to rack up like 7 boards in the first quarter now. So I'm going with the over 12.5 and Tyrese Maxey plus 25 points. And that is a 145 here at Bet365. Make sure you go sign up using the code PHLY365 when you do. And you go ahead, jump in and tail us on this one. All right, that'll do
Good
it for
luck,
us.
Devon.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That'll do it for us here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show. We'll be back 10 minutes after the game goes final. Hope that you can join us, and we hope we're talking about a victory for your Philadelphia 76ers. For Kyle Bree, I'm Devon. We'll be back right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show right after.
We all silly like the mayor.